Attention Austin guitarist, are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you. That's my friend Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie. You can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook. Gang, I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years, and not only does he do the very best job, but he has the fastest service and the best prices in town. Find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook or jason.swedberg@gmail.com. Gang, whether it's acoustic or electric, Jason is your guy. Get your guitars fixed. Hey gang, are you in a band in Austin? You're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, and a very helpful and courteous staff. They have adapted to the COVID standards, and it is a very safe place to rehearse. You move in one way, you go in one door, you go out the other, you bring your own microphones. That's Space Rehearsal and Recording. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here are your hosts,
Right, hello, I'm Johnny, I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good week. It's been a good week. I just got the news. Actually, I'm doing this intro the day before the show comes out. I just got the news about the CDC lifting the mask mandate for people who have been vaccinated. And that is fucking incredible. I'm stoked about that. I'm stoked about that. The research has shown numbers are going down, and it's due to these vaccines. And you don't have to wear a mask anymore. I was tired of wearing a mask anyway. I'll do it if we need to. But that's, man, if you haven't gotten vaccinated and you don't want to wear a mask, I hope this will be some kind of incentive. Get out there and get vaccinated, man. Get rid of this stuff. Let's get rid of this COVID. My God, it's been crazy. It's been the longest year, man. Living on edge, being all fucking anxious, not knowing what you're going to do. I was in this apartment for almost a year, except for the month that I went to the beach, which was great. Gang, I'm playing a show tonight with Skyrocket on YouTube. It's a live stream show on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Just find Skyrocket the band. We're on all those those mediums there. We'll be doing a show tonight live from our drummer Darren Murphy's house at 8 p.m. Central Time. So tune in to if you like the cover songs, get in there and check it out. And don't forget, gang, my new single, Sun, Earth, Moon, is available now on streaming services as of Monday. It's been available. So get out there and check it out. Sun, Earth, Moon. Let them know what you think. Like it, add it to your playlist, do what you need to do. Gang, I have a great show for you today. My old friend Bob Schneider returns to the show. Yes, he's got a brand new single out today called I Love This Life. And in fact, hey gang, if you watch the television, he will be on Rachel Ray today, May 14th. Check your local listings and see when Rachel Ray is on, but he'll be performing the song I Love This Life on Rachel Ray. You can find him at bobschneider.com. He's got a brand new album coming out in August called In a Room Full of Blood with a Sleeping Tiger. It's available August 27th. He's got a couple singles already out, Lord of the Flies, The Sun Is Coming, and of course, today's single, I Love This Life, available now. We have a fantastic conversation. Fantastic. I've known Bob since 1993 when I was in Mr. Rocket Baby and I met him. And we've had some some turmoil early on, but I've always liked him. And over the last 20 years, he's been a good friend. I went on tour with him when I was in the band Endosheen. We went on tour opening for him back in 2004 or 2005 or something. I was going through a heavy time in my life, and he was cool. His whole crew was cool. And we've been friends ever since. As I said, he's been on the show a couple of times. And this episode, guys, I do have to say, sorry, once again, Bob, he's won like 60 Austin Music Awards, like the most decorated Austin musician, according to Austinites. He's been doing this this Monday residency at the Saxon Pub since like 2001 or something, maybe 2000. And ever since COVID hit and there was a lockdown and Saxon's been closed, Bob's been doing it on Monday nights. It's Bob Schneider's Song Club. You can go get it by going on his Patreon. It's Monday nights, just like his old show at the Saxon Pub. We have a great conversation. Great conversation. He's got a couple of podcasts. He's got the Song Club podcast, and he's got the podcast I'm Okay, You're Okay, I'm Not Okay, You're Not Okay, which he does with the hilarious Clint Wells. I love listening to that show. Those guys are hilarious together, and they're very fun to listen to. And man, this record, In a Room Full of Blood with a Sleeping Tiger, is fucking great, man. This song, I Love This Life, is really, really great. Bob's a super prolific artist. He's been writing tons and tons of songs for years. I was surprised to find out that he's back down to like 4 songs a month now. But that's still very exciting. That's still a lot. It's still more than most people that write songs, believe it or not. Unless you're like a professional songwriter that goes in every day and writes songs for and with people or whatever. Anyway, winner of like 60 Austin Music Awards. Brand new single, I Love This Life, out today. Go to bobschneider.com for all of your Bob Schneider needs. Always great talking to him. We have a fantastic conversation about his podcast, about the Song Club on his Patreon, the shows on Monday night, about touring, about life, about family, about the effect his kids have had on him. The conversation's almost 2 hours long. So I guess without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with my dear old friend, Bob Schneider. Let's get down.
In the car, take everything I've ever made so far to get away, so I won't see it again. Leave me here a broken man, that's okay, cause everything you think you'll own's a lie. Everything you think you know's just a lullaby somebody wrote a long time ago. Nobody knows. He does though. When somebody's trying to tell me something, I'm always like, what are you trying to tell yourself? Because the people that don't tell you shit, they got it all. They know it all already. Yeah. Only the ones that are trying to tell you something that have something that they need to learn.
I have a sister like that, like continual unsolicited advice. You know?
What do you do about it? Besides slap her to the ground.
I ignore her a lot. And sometimes I get off the phone with her. You know? She can be a pain in the ass.
Is she younger or older than you?
She's younger. I have like 6 younger half siblings.
Why are they all half siblings?
Because my dad was busy and prolific with his unit throughout the years. I have a brother that's still in high school.
So wait. So you're the only
one of my parents.
One of your mom and dad, right. And then after that, the other 6 siblings were all from other women?
2 of them are from a second wife, and then 4 of them are from a third wife.
Oh wow. So how old were you when they got divorced?
Like a year and a half or something. I was young.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember it. So.
And is your dad still alive?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He is very proudly the exact same age as Donald Trump.
Should I know that?
Like 74 or something?
Okay. 70. Is he a Trumper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he hasn't talked to me in over a year because he got very disgusted in a conversation that we had.
About politics?
Yeah, it had to do with politics, and it had to do with the fact that he was telling me that I needed to listen to Joel Osteen when it came to matters of this pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's Joel, the doctor, right? The doctor of theology?
Yeah.
The doctor of making bazillions of dollars?
Yeah.
I'm a doctor in making bazillions of dollars off of people looking for an answer that can't be found anywhere. But check it out. I'm going to say with confidence that I have the answer, and also give me all your dough.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those
And,
guys too. He's like a total like snake oil
sure-
salesman.
I'm sure his deal is, I'm sure what he says is, you know what? I'm going to defer to the CDC,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Because those guys are experts. That's what they've done with their entire lives. They've studied this shit. So I'm going to defer to them. Or, let me guess, he's got his own notions.
Yeah, yeah, he does. My dad's walking around with some weird thing around his neck that he's trying to sell to people that's keeping it away, and he's not taking the vaccine.
Sweet. And then Jesus is waiting for him when all that fails. That's cool.
That's how it all works, man.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
It's nice, man. You know, that's the thing about the world. That's the thing about world. Let's leave out the. The cool thing about world is you just make it whatever you want, I guess.
It seems it seems like that's what's happened to us.
I mean, I don't want to get too meta, but I mean, obviously that's what we've done.
Yeah.
We're here, we're existing, we have been for a while, supposedly, even though nothing existed before 1955. But we're like, well, let's look around and see what we can figure out. And then we just made it up. And I know people are like, I know, Bobby, but there's some stuff that's real. Like this table's real. I'm like, okay, let's agree that table's real.
Then what?
Fine. and then let's devolve into madness, and then let's get really pissed off when somebody says that's not a table. Oh no, that is a table. No, it's not. What the fuck is it? That's a chair for a giant.
Yeah.
It just looks like a table. Okay. All right. Whatever you want to go, however you, here's what I don't care about. Hardly any of it.
That's what you don't care about?
No, I just somebody trying to tell me something. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I just go, okay.
Yeah. That's all
else-
you can
what
do.
else what else do you want to tell me?
Yeah.
And then I'll listen and I'll go, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But here's what I got a 6-year-old. She's telling me all kinds of crazy shit too. And I'm just like, okay, no problem. Tell me more.
What did you do yesterday for Mother's Day? Did you go, your parents are still around, right?
I had my mom and dad over and had dinner with my wife, daughter, son, and my parents. And yeah, it was nice. I felt very grateful that my parents are around and that I get to hang out with them. And, you know, parents are parents. They can be frustrating. But I felt pretty good about them being around. My mom's 79. She's going to be 80 this year. My dad's 78. So they're pretty old.
Yeah.
It's just recently is the first time I've ever thought of them as old.
That's a weird thing, isn't it?
Just kind of hit me. My son had 2 lacrosse games in one day, which is too many. And asked my mom if she was going to go to the second one. She's like, I don't know if I can make the second one. I'm going to be pretty tired. And it just dawned on me that, oh shit, she's 80. She's almost 80.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think of my parents as old. I don't think of myself as old. It is weird. You just walk around with this idea of the world, and it has not a lot to do with right now. It has a lot to do with a year ago or 10 years ago or 30 years ago. It's not really. I defy you to find anybody who is thinking of the world as it is right now and not opposed to some definition of it that we created all through our lives.
Right.
And I'm talking about ourselves and everything in the world.
Right. I just realized my hair looks terrible. Sorry.
Dude, your hair looks great. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I woke up and... Dude, you wake up early.
Well, I had insomnia last night. I went to bed at 12:30. I woke up at 4:30. And I couldn't get back to sleep. And my daughter had it too. She woke up around the same time. She couldn't get back to sleep either.
What do you do when you have to? Do you have a place you can go make noise if you want to and not wake other people up?
Yeah, I'm out in my studio right now. I mean, I can go out. It's my house. I could fucking do whatever I want. I can wake everybody up in the house if I want. I want to be a real dick.
My girlfriend thought it was my sister. She was like, "Man, it's really early for your sister to be texting this morning."
Now, do you keep your phone on? I turn my phone off. Like if
a lot of times I do.
But it was weird because I was sending this text this morning at like 5:30. I was like, I hope your phone's off, or you're awake.
It woke me up, but it was good. It woke me up laughing. I was like, "Wow, why? What is he doing?"
Yeah. Well, I was up and what it was I was laying in bed trying to go back to sleep, but then I was thinking about us talking today, and then I was like, I wonder if you know what I've been doing lately, and so I wanted to text you that, and then finally I'll just start thinking about something in my head, and I'm kind of OCD, I just can't stop thinking about it until I finally have to do something about it. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Well, I appreciated it. I did. You know what I did yesterday was listen to a podcast of yours, the Song Club one, where you talked about the songs on the new album. I guess it's a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And I watched that the Song Club show, which was great, and it made me think this thing. I realized that we were getting older when I was watching it, and it was just because we don't act like people that are our age. Like when we were younger, you didn't know any dudes in their 50s that were putting on different sunglasses and playing a melodica and dancing and saying, crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
I mean, I knew artists and musicians and stuff, but it just seems like there's got to be bankers in this world that think we are so weird.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, again, that idea about what the world is, when we were 20, we had an idea of what we were going to be like when we were this age, but we also had an idea of what the world was going to be like when we were this age. And the world's just not, the world that we live in now is not the same world we lived in 20 years ago. It's kind of it's a weird cartoony, crazy world. I mean, it's always been kind of crazy. I've always thought of the culture that we live in as being kind of insane, mainly because I grew up in Europe, and so there was such a drastic difference when I moved to the States when I was 20 from the world I was living in Europe. It was like jumping in water that everybody'd been in for a while, so everybody kind of had the temperature of that water down, right. And I jumped in the water and I was like, oh, this is a different temperature. And when I got to the States, like everything was there was all this advertising that there just wasn't in Germany, and it just kind of it was weird. I was just like, wow, these people are just being hammered with this advertising all the time,
constantly,
and it's gotten incrementally, exponentially crazier since then. In terms of us being told like who we should be, what we should do, how we should act, what we should look like, what the world, to the point now where you just can't get through the day where you're not being told over, especially because we have these phones now that follow us around that we're looking at all the time. Yeah. They're just telling us all the time what we should know, right. How we should act, who we should be. We just didn't have that 30 years ago.
No.
And, there was the nightly news. There was like 3 channels of TV.
Right.
There wasn't even a lot of cable. I mean, there was a little bit. There was MTV, like new wave people on MTV.
Yeah.
now that it all seems kind of cute and quaint and kind of like Andy Griffith or something to these kids nowadays. But the world's completely different. So me putting on sunglasses and really doing anything I'm doing is old fashioned, and I'm not doing anything too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, compared to everything.
I guess that's true. It's just sort of like this, we're not guys in suits. Like, you know how like guys that were like 30 looked like they were 50 back in the 50s?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's still some retention of our youth with us that those guys didn't have.
Yeah, I mean, go back. If you go back even further, I mean, just go back to the 50s. Everybody wore a hat. Mm-hmm. How weird is it? Dude, when I was graduating from high school, I graduated in 83. At that point, nobody in the world had beards.
Yeah.
Like, beards were something for like that you'd see like in old pictures of, like, maybe a professor had a beard, maybe some grandfather had a beard somewhere, and then maybe somebody had a beard that was in a
Paul Bunyan
had a beard, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But all normal people just shaved.
Right.
That's what you did. You shaved, you kept your, and now everybody's got a beard or stubble or something.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody. Believe me, I wouldn't. If I wasn't as fat as I am now, all this would be shaved. If I was as thin as you are, I'd be clean shaven, because otherwise, you know, this is all gray now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm vain, and I want to appear younger than I am.
I saw Britt Daniel last night. He still looks exactly the same. Exactly the same as he always has.
That makes me sad.
Yeah. But
because I want him to age terribly.
I know. Well, it's not happening. He's thin.
That's fun.
He looks exactly the same. He's nice. You know what I was thinking about yesterday? Do you know Gabriel Rhodes, the guitar guy?
I don't know if I do.
He's going white, and we started talking about, like, there's like the Steve Lukethers of the world. You know that guy, the guy from Toto? He's like a guy that like has the hair dyed and the goatee dyed.
Yes.
And it looks.
I mean, I know that look. I don't know that guy.
Yeah. He's still like that. Basically, like if you went to go see them at like some arena, if you were sitting back far enough, it would still resemble the Steve Lukather you knew, like from the 80s or 70s. But
he looks like an emoji of himself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what people do. And yeah, to me, Dolly Parton did the same thing. Like like up close, she looks weird, but if you were at, you know, the Irwin Center or something, watching her show from a few rows back, she'd look like Dolly Parton.
Except they have I'm sure they have an LED screen of her, so she probably still looks pretty weird. There was a time where she looked like a true monster. I think they figured it out a little bit. They rolled it back a little bit with hers. She still looks terrible, but not as bad as she looked like maybe 10 years ago. No. You know what? Dude, I saw Kenny. I saw Kenny Rogers. I did a show. I did one of those morning shows. You know, with KLBJ morning shows or whatever with Andy Langer for South by Southwest a few years ago, and Kenny Rogers was there. Man, he looked like a fucking straight up monster. Oh, he also had that thing that Smokey Robinson did and Axl Rose, where it looks like someone just stuck their finger up your ass. You know what? And your eyes are like, whoa! You know what I mean? Yeah, it just looked. I don't understand. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the plastic surgery thing. Like, I see those like housewives of whatever, fill in the blank. Yeah, and they all look like monsters. They don't look young. No, they look terrible. I have these 3 cousins that are plastic surgeons, and they're constantly trying to get me to do it. Yeah, my cousin owns a plastic surgery. It's not a plastic surgery. It's whatever's right below plastic surgery. So they do everything except cut you. Yeah. do all the fillers, Botox,
Yeah.
microdermabrasion, and every time I see my cousin, he's like, "Oh, dude, we'll just get this, and we'll just add a little here, and we'll do." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
that's how it starts,
Yeah.
and then you look like an egg, and
Yeah.
then you don't look right ever again."
No, you don't.
Have you had any of that done? Because you look
No,
great.
I haven't done anything. There's one thing that they are good. I have like a eyelid that hangs over my right eye, and it actually, I can feel it. And so someday they might pull that back. My grandfather had it too, and they did him. And he didn't look weird.
You know what's so weird about aging is you can go. This happens where you'll go like 8 or 9 years looking the same.
Yeah.
And you'll watch other people just fall down the hill
Yeah.
aging wise. You're like, oh, look at that fucking poor piece of shit with its old look. And then literally over the course of, I've seen it over the pandemic, over the course of the last year, people just have aged like 10 years in 1 year. But it is weird how it happens. Like, I mean, if you'd have seen me 3 years ago, I had no gray in my beard at all. I don't dye anything. And I looked 10 years younger than I look now, just because I didn't have this gray.
Right.
And it was probably 30 pounds thinner. So, I mean, it's been a rough 2.5, 3 years for me. It's not good. And I don't know what to do to reverse it either, because, I mean, I would like to be thinner, but I can't figure it out. It definitely feels like my eating at this point feels like my drinking felt like back in the, like I just couldn't control. I couldn't stop drinking, and I didn't want to stop drinking. And I feel the same way about my eating now. Like I can't control it, and I don't want to stop, because it's really the only joy that I have left in my life is like eating a fucking candy bar or some chips or something.
Yeah. Do you drink coffee?
And I don't want to give that up. I do drink coffee.
Yeah. I drank a lot of coffee before the pandemic, and then it just accelerated because I'm just here all day making espressos.
Well, I don't know how you felt. I had a lot of anxiety during the pandemic. The most I've had
Yeah.
as an adult since I quit drinking. So I quit drinking 25 years ago. And before that, I had a lot of anxiety, but it had a lot to do with my drinking, because I would be in blackouts all the time, and then I would wake up and I'd be full of fear because I wouldn't know what I'd done the night before. But since I quit drinking, my anxiety has lessened considerably. And then when the pandemic hit, it all kind of came rushing back to the point where I thought, like, man, I might have to start drinking again. I was having that much anxiety. Now I figured out some stuff like, oh, if you walk every day, that helps.
Yeah.
And then I cut down my coffee. I cut caffeine out completely for about 2 or 3 months, just because I think that was, causing some anxiety. And even now, like, this is my second cup of coffee. And if I have 2 cups of coffee, I start getting some anxiety. I do feel like I have PTSD from the pandemic.
I think a lot of us do. I mean, you were locked in with your family?
Yeah, my wife and daughter mainly, but my son would come over, and then my ex-wife and her husband were pretty much the only people that we hung out with. We didn't even hang out with my parents because my parents are elderly. So that was it for at least 6 months. That's all we did. And then we eventually sent my daughter back to Montessori because enough was enough.
Yeah.
Like her being in the house every day, it felt like Groundhog Day. It was weird and not good. I can't be taking care of a 6-year-old daughter. I need to hand her off. I'm good for maybe an hour or 2 at the most. I mean, 2 hours is... If I do 2 hours in a day, like I feel like I've maxed out on my dad. Like, I'm not joking. And I know some people that aren't like that. Some people are like, "Oh, I can spend all day with my kids." Or I'm not that person. I need to be working, and if I'm not working, I don't feel good. Like I'm feeling I'm feeling real bad if I'm not working. I need to be concentrating on the task.
Right. Yeah. Did you fill up I mean, obviously you write songs all day anyway. You're you do visual art and you were playing your shows and doing the song club and your podcasts and stuff, were those things that did you accelerate any of those? Like, did you do a bunch of more?
No,
shit?
I mean, no, not really. I had a pretty easy schedule over the last year. No, I didn't accelerate anything. And I don't write all the time. I write one song a week. That doesn't take very long. I do a couple podcasts a week. I do love having structure. So since the pandemic went down, even though all the live gigs, went away, I still had a gig every Monday. And just knowing that I had this thing that I had to do every Monday at 8 p.m. just gave my life some structure. And if I didn't have that, I would feel like I was falling off the earth. I need to have a task. So now every Wednesday morning I do my I'm okay, you're okay, I'm not okay, you're not okay podcasts. Every once a month I do a song club podcast at the beginning of the month. So I have these little things that I have to do. Right. And now of course the live gigs are starting to come back. And just anything with structure is good for me.
Yeah.
Taking my daughter to school in the morning. I get up 5 days a week, make her breakfast, take her to school. Just, that sort of thing. I don't know how people don't do anything. The idea of retiring or not working. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
don't get it.
Yeah. That I had an aunt and uncle that retired at the very beginning of the pandemic. They were like, well, might as well just do it now. We were going to do it in the summer. And so they retired and, now there's 45-minute conversations about well, we're thinking about painting the fence again. Their life has gotten it's just hanging out at the house.
What have you been doing this last year? Because you mainly do the podcast. You have your Starlight that you do. That's
Skyrocket.
What is it? Skyrocket. All right. So you got which is pretty. You guys were really busy, right?
Yeah.
And then even during the pandemic, I'm sure you guys got calls to do gigs. Did you guys do gigs during the pandemic?
We didn't do any in-person gigs. We did live streams and we did some Zoom private shows where we would go to 1-to-1 because they have this whole film set up there, and we would play a show for somebody somewhere else.
And so we
started playing. We played 4 gigs.
I'm assuming you're vaccinated now.
Yeah. We're all vaccinated.
And when I feel this way, I don't know if you feel this way, but as soon as I got vaccinated, I'm like, where do you want me to play?
Yeah.
Oh, indoors, no problem.
Yeah.
No mask, no problem. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now that I'm vaccinated, I'm like, whatever you want to do, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
now, I will say, I have traveled a few times. Gotten on a plane, gone to the airport. I'm around 1,000 strangers. And I'm fine while I'm there doing it, and then afterwards I'm like, "Am I okay?
Yeah, do I have it?"
And then I'm fine. But I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I've just decided I've worried about it enough.
Right.
I'm not worrying about it anymore.
Well, I spent the first few months literally, locked in my place. I would go visit my grandma is 97. She'll be 98 next week, and my aunt lives with her, and I would go visit them and hang out in the front yard in Houston. Go there for a couple hours, and that was weird. But it got a little nutty. My girlfriend and me broke up. The girl I was dating then, I have a new girlfriend now, but back then I was dating someone and we broke up, and it was kind of we were both handling the pandemic in 2 different ways. And it really, I think some people's relationships fell apart. Some of them got stronger during that time, and ours just split up. But also my dog died that I've had for 14 years, me and Sandy's dog, Taylor. And that was a rough number. And, but I stayed busy. I wrote, I recorded. I would go over to Gabe Rhodes' house and record one guy at a time. Chipman would come over and play drums, after I'd leave or whatever. You know what I mean? just some. But at the end of the summer, my grandmother was going crazy and she was tired of being in her house. So she rented a beach house for a month, like on the beach in Galveston. It was basically like anyone that wants to come get tested and just come live here for a month. So I did, and it was great.
Oh, wow.
That was like a saving grace, hanging out with people, because I was like fucking totally alone.
Yeah. Man.
And that shit gets weird.
No, I'm, yeah. I mean, I can only, I know, I can, I mean, I don't have to imagine. I've been here alone a couple times. You know, my wife and daughter will go to Houston and visit her parents and leave me alone here. And I don't like it. And I can only imagine like doing that for weeks or months.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I could see how that would not be, it wouldn't be good for me.
No, I mean, you know, some stuff, like I ended up talking to a bunch of people that you don't normally talk to all the time, like a lot.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
that was great.
It is weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy that I don't talk to very often that I ended up talking to every day of the pandemic. Like I would go on this walk and I would call him every day and we would talk.
Yeah.
And before that, we never talked.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But it was good. It was, I needed it.
Yeah, we all did, man. Did you, like, you were saying that you're excited to get back and start playing. I've noticed some people that are like, now that they've had a year off for the first time ever, are like, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to do it like I used to.
Well, I'm definitely not going to do it like I used to.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I realized, again, it's the thing about this whole last year, it's been super humbling. It really has been humbling. That's the main takeaway from the whole thing for me is like, what's important? Who am I? What am I doing? What's going on? I'm going to die. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
And you just have a lot of time to like self-reflect and see what's going on in your life. And the thing I realized was like, I was kind of doing this thing where I was touring the country, but I was touring the country because in the 80s and 90s,
that's what you did.
There wasn't an internet.
Right.
And so if you wanted people to see you, had to go play at a club, and then people would come to the club and they would see you and they would discover you, and then you would become their favorite band, and they would tell their friends about it. And that's the way you grew an audience. That doesn't exist anymore. Now I'm just going around the country to stay busy and maybe provide capital for my booking agent and my manager, but it's not doing anything for my career. It's not building an audience for me. I'm just going and playing for the same people that have come and seen me for the last 20 years. So, and I'm not making any money. It's costing me money to go tour.
Right.
And I'm away from home. I don't enjoy it at all. It's really inconvenient to tour. It's really inconvenient to go anywhere besides stay at my house. So like, why am I doing it? And I told my booking agent, I'm like, look, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'll go out and I'll play solo because I can make a little bit of money doing that. Right. People can come see me. We can interact. We can have some fun hanging out. But the idea of like dragging a band with me so that we can have some party thing in a club sucks for 100 people.
Yeah.
No, and my time's too limited on the earth, and I don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, I'm not doing that.
So what are you just going to be? What are you going to do? You're just going to go out regionally when you need to?
I'll play in Texas, and then I'll fly out and do solo shows, and then every once in a while, if it's something special, I'll play some band gigs somewhere, outside of Texas. But other than that. No, unless I get, if I get really big, which I can't imagine happening, unless something, really changes in terms of how many people I can draw, I don't think I'll do anything different. I'm definitely not going to do what I used to do, which is just waste time.
Yeah.
waste time playing band shows all over the country for no money. It's not going to do it.
No, that's exhausting. That's hard to do too.
Yeah.
It's weird because like with Skyrocket, it has it's definitely taken me out of doing my own thing at a point where I was exhausted with myself and doing that same kind of thing. And it's made it so that it's a lot more fun now when I do my own thing. Now, does that make sense? Like it's not,
Absolutely.
the pressure isn't all on me and my songs to like live and eat and stay housed, which has been it's been a relief. And I think it's made me approach my music a little bit differently too.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you know what, it's just a matter of like, how do you want to spend your time? You know, I have the cousin who owns the
face place.
plastic surgery place. He's like, man, I want to just stop doing all this and I want to just make art. I'm like, no problem. Do it. It means you're going to have to sell your house. It means you're going to have to live in a shitty place.
Yeah.
You're not going to be making any money. You won't be able to do any of the things you're doing now in terms of lifestyle. But do it. Or keep making that dough and enjoy your, whatever it is. Like nobody's making anybody do anything.
Right.
So whatever you're doing, figure it out, take responsibility for it, and enjoy your life.
Yeah.
To the best of your ability. You know, but quit blaming anybody for what you do.
Right.
Just do it and accept it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or don't. I don't care. Again, I'm vaccinated.
Yeah.
You don't want to get a vaccine? No problem. Everybody wants one, can get one.
Yeah.
You don't want one? No problem. Yeah, but Bobby, what about, I don't give a fuck. This is my new thing. Adults make adult decisions. I'm an adult. I'm going to respect you as an adult. You make your adult decision, I'll make mine.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
I was listening to the I'm okay, you're okay, I'm not okay, you're not okay episode because I didn't see the Academy Awards, so I saw you guys were talking about it, so I went to go listen to that one.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah, that's what I found
Doesn't
out.
stop me from talking about it.
I like that you said that winning an Oscar this year was like winning a gold medal at an Olympics where there was no other competitors. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
nobody fucking released shit this year.
Yeah, but
Unless it was on Hulu.
the thing that really got me in that episode was Clint's friend that had the open relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like on the dating sites there towards the end of the pandemic, going into the like the last ditch effort. We were like, whoa, maybe there's someone in my phone that likes me.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever
No.
been in an open
No,
relationship? Me neither.
no. But your
I mean,
reaction is,
I was in relationships where I was cheating on the person that I was in the
but that's
relationship with.
acceptable.
That's not
normal.
acceptable.
No. I mean, it's normal to me.
It might be normal. It's not acceptable. It's terrible of me to do that. I'm wasting somebody's time deceiving them. But yeah, I have been in relationships where the woman I was in a relationship with is like, hey, do you want to open this up to other people? And I'm like, fuck no, I don't want to open it
That's
up.
weird.
If I want to open it up, we just say bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's-
a friend
I
that
don't even want to watch my wife make out with a woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch her make out with anybody except maybe me.
Yeah. I had a friend that met somebody, because on those dating things, like on the Bumble and stuff like that, there are people that are like, hey, I'm married, I'm looking for a little side guy or whatever, and they're in an open relationship, and a friend of mine took the bait. And at first it was all cool, and he's like, oh yeah, it's all cool, like they have their date night and they go, you can go out, and hang out with this dude and spend the night, just nothing can. But like within a week and a half, like it was over because the guy flipped out on the lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna fall in love. That's the problem. Unless you're so checked out that you just don't ever do it. I mean, I used to tell people that I was in an open relationship, and I definitely wasn't. You know, believe me, if the person that I was in the relationship with found out what I was doing, that relationship would have ended. So that's not an open relationship. That's just me bullshitting.
Yeah.
People.
So
but, yeah.
Let me ask you this: are you going to go back to doing Mondays at Saxon?
I've told them I'm not going to. I've told Joe that I wasn't interested in going back. I feel like I should have left that gig 15 years ago. I love the gig. I love playing there, but it's an unnecessarily hard gig for my band to do. It feels like one of those relationships that, you know, it feels like a relationship that I've been in for a long time that I don't want to get out of. But because of the pandemic, I was able to get out of it. It's like, have you ever been in a relationship and then the person you're in a relationship was like, fuck this relationship, I'm out of here. And they like leave town for a month or two. And then they come back and go, oh, I missed you so much. And you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't miss you at all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like at this. I mean, I love that gig, but I should not be playing there. I don't think, you know what here's the other thing it is. There's this idea that I'm going to be playing the Saxon Pub and Scarlett Johansson is going to come in because she's in town filming.
Right.
And she's going to hear, oh, the thing to do on Monday nights is go check out Lonely Land at Saxon Pub. And she's going to show up, and then I'm going to meet her.
Yeah.
Because I've met David Byrne. He's come by on a Monday night. I've met I didn't meet any of the people from Friday Night Lights, but they were coming to the Saxon Pub when they were filming that show. And then I found out years later when I finally watched the show that they were coming, and then I slapped myself across my face because I wish I would have met them.
Yeah.
And I never did. So there's this idea. It's kind of like going out. I mean, you're not single because you're back together with somebody, but when the last time I was single, which is probably 10 years ago, I would go out thinking, well, maybe I'll just by chance run into somebody that's compatible with me out here in the streets of the fucking world. Because that's happened before. That happened when I was 20 once, and that happened when I was 23 once. It didn't happen.
No.
10 years ago when I was dating at 45. The streets were cold. Anyways, so there is this idea that it's going to be some sort of magical gig. Something's going to happen. And it's just not. It's the same crew of people, which is great. I get a chance to interact with them on my live streams on Monday nights when I'm doing it.
Right.
We have a good time doing it, and it's easy for me. I don't have to subject my band to learning literally thousands of songs, maybe 1,000 songs that we've played once.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they would have to spend hours learning these songs. We play it. Oh, that song sucks. Never play it again.
Yeah. I've seen you actually stop a song like going into it and like, all right, no, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. It is when that gig is happening, it is a fun experience because we don't practice. So I'll write a song, send it to the band. I'll show up there and I'll get a chance to hear the song for the first time along with the audience. And so it's almost like I'm going to see me play.
Right.
And it's pretty exciting. Like that's fun. You know, when you're playing fucking Metal and Steel for the goddamn 400th time, there's not a lot going on there. You're just playing the song. I mean, you're checking out the crowd. If the crowd's really into it, you're getting something from the crowd, but it's not like you're hearing it for the first time.
Right.
And that can be really fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's complicated. I've told them I'm not going to do it. You never know. I might go back there at some point.
Yeah.
Just like the, the chick that gets beaten up over and over again. And she's like, but he's so charming.
Ugh. Yeah.
He's such a charmer, and he's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Saxon Pub is an abusive.
No, but I know what you mean.
Dude, they're nice. They're nice down there. But I don't know. You know how it is.
Yeah. I'm excited to start playing again and go do stuff. But I will say the Skyrocket shows that I played, like, those are long-ass shows. And I feel like I got my ass kicked the next day.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. After not playing consistently for a year and starting to play, when I do play a live show, it is fun, dude.
Yeah.
I just played Saturday at the Nutty Brown, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played these songs in a year.
Yeah.
And it's great. But man, when you're playing 4 or 5 nights a week, it gets to be a grind. I'm like, why am I here? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because we signed up to have this life that wasn't like having some regular job, but then you realize after a certain amount of time, you're like, oh, this is a fucking regular job.
It can be.
Yeah.
I've made it, for me personally, I've made it so it's not a job most of the time, because I haven't had any hits, and I've got this audience that will allow me to play new music. So because of that, I'm able to enjoy myself still.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the same set of songs from 15 years ago, even though I do play some of the songs from 15 years ago and mix them in with the new songs. So
do you, how do you structure those sets for the song club? Because you have to have like, you have like the stems of the songs playing, and
Right.
It's all like in order before you go. You have like a set list.
I do. I make a set list in iTunes, and I have all of the songs as instrumentals in iTunes, and then I pick an order. And usually, what I do to pick the songs, I mean, I've probably got. Let's see. I'll tell you exactly. I mean, I've got a lot of instrumental music now. So I've got 24 hours of instrumental stems that I can play,
Yeah.
400 songs. But what I normally do is I go walking every day, and I'll just I'll put my iPod on Bob Schneider, put it on shuffle, and I kind of just let iTunes shuffle pick my set list for that week.
Idea.
Otherwise, I don't know. I've got a couple thousand songs I've written now, and I don't know what's there. My mind doesn't,
Right.
I know what my favorite songs are right now that I would play if I did a solo show at the Kessler.
Right.
But the Monday nights are different. It's I can't just play the same songs over and over again.
Right.
So yeah, I do that, and then I'm like, oh, forgot about that song. Add it to the list, and then I play it.
Do you have the words in front of you?
Yes.
Okay.
I have everything on an iPad, all the lyrics, even songs that I know by heart. I keep them on an iPad now, because about 5 years ago, I was playing a show, and a song that I play all the time, at just some point, I just didn't know what the words were, and it freaked me out real bad. And I don't know what that is, but I've talked to other people. They're like, oh yeah, that starts happening when you get in your 50s. So now I have them all there, whether I need them or not.
That's good. Yeah, that freaks me out sometimes, the amount of words. Like I booked a show, and I have all these new songs I did. I'm like, I don't even know the words of the songs. Started
No, I
listening
don't.
to it again.
I used to memorize my song. I never do that now, because I always have my. So if I play a song enough,
Yeah.
I'll know it after I've played it a few times. But I just don't want to take the time to memorize it.
Right.
It's like Saturday Night Live. And those guys, I'm like, man, why don't they memorize those lines?
Right.
It's because they're doing it week after week and they're changing it up all the time.
Right.
They don't have time.
Have you ever been there when they film it?
No, never have gone there.
Seems.
Have you been there?
No. Einar played it and was like, just like hearing what they actually do every week is insane. Like what is actually happening.
There's a great documentary that
James Franco
did that you can see. That was wonderful.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't know if you can get that anywhere. I got it in some like pirated thing or something.
Did you see Elon Musk on there this weekend?
Man, I can't watch Saturday Night Live. Every time I turn it on, it's so terrible.
Yeah.
I just stop watching it.
Yeah, I've stopped watching it too. It's not great. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm not as connected to the times of now, or maybe they're just going through. I mean, you can't do something that long, switching people out all the time, and have it always be great. There's no way.
It's weird. I was thinking about it last night because I think I tried to watch the new. I thought it was the newest one. I was like, oh, Kirsten Wiig's on. I'll watch that. And then it was one from last year. But there is something going on over there with, Saturday Night Live is supposed to be edgy. I mean, when it started, that shit was super edgy.
Yeah.
And it ain't that. It ain't that now.
No.
And there is this weird thing with comedy, just cancel culture and all that shit where there's just certain things you can't say or talk about. And I'm like, man, when that starts leaking into comedy, good God. I mean, all my favorite comedians just talk about how bullshit that is.
Yeah, I think it's really sad to not give human beings a chance at redemption if they've done something. You know what I mean? Like that. Like the fact that Louis C.K. can't do anything anymore.
Well, he can. He is doing things.
Not at the level that he was before. You know what I mean?
No, not at the level for sure. But I mean, again, that's the thing. It's like you can do anything. You can say anything you want. A bunch of people are going to be like, you're done. And that's their prerogative. So like, I mean, Jim Gaffigan, I don't know if you watched him during the last election, but I mean, he's not political at all in his humor. I'm sure half of his audience at least is right. They're on the right. And he just laid into Trump on Twitter and he just lost half of his audience. Yeah. But he felt strongly enough about it that he was just like, fuck it. This is what I believe in. And so if I lose half my audience, I lose half my audience. Now, did it make any difference at all to anybody but him? No, because nobody's going to tell me something to change my mind about anything.
Right, exactly.
And so why do I think I'm going to change somebody else's mind by tweeting it out or saying something, no matter how passionate I am about it?
Yeah.
I know how passionate you are about your political beliefs. It's not going to change mine.
Right. Yeah, that is a weird, like, people get so involved with that now on social media and shit.
I do like to listen to people's narratives, though. Like, especially people who are on the other side of the political arena or whatever. Like, because I have friends I have great friends who I admire who are, Republicans and voted for Trump, and I'm like, what's the deal here? Tell me what the story is. Yeah. And they'll tell me the story, and I'm like, that's a difference. I have not heard that story. Oh, the story that you have about Colin Kaepernick, I've never heard that story. It's a different story than the one I hear. Right. And I'll tell you, I've seen a couple things where I'm just like, that's interesting. For instance, during the election, I watched Fox News. I thought they did a pretty good job covering the election. I was interested in seeing what I didn't want to watch CNN. So I'm like, I'm going to watch it on Fox, see what they do. And they're showing the election. But at one point they showed Donald Trump talking to his campaign staff. Like, he went to the campaign offices and talked to these people, and he just walked in, talked to him. He was like, "Hey, I just want to thank you guys for doing, this tough job. You guys are working really hard. I really appreciate it." And it was like, I'm like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Because he seemed normal and he seemed nice. And then I was just like, I bet you the people that love Trump and vote for him, I bet you this is all they see.
Yeah.
They just see him being normal and nice and like a human being. And dude, the only thing I see is Trump saying crazy shit, and they hammer it.
Right.
They hammer it.
Yeah.
It's just him saying an awful thing or a crazy thing or just anything they can find that's going to make me hate that guy. And that's all I see. And I don't see anything else. And I have a feeling those clips I'm seeing, and then the other side's only seeing this other version of him.
Right.
And so when we get together, and I'm like, man, that guy's a fucking dick. And your grandpa or whoever, like, or your dad, whoever it is like, no, he's what are you talking about? You're fucking crazy. He's a nice guy. I see clips of him all the time where he's just being normal.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that I think everybody's too dug in. I mean, even for me, I know that I'm not getting all the information. I know I'm getting a one side of the information.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the other thing I did during the pandemic was I'd stopped looking at the news on my phone. Starting in March, I just turned off notifications, and for a year, I didn't look at the news at all. And then I started looking at it again, maybe a month or two ago, and I stopped doing it almost immediately. I'm like, I can't look at the news. It's all designed to upset me.
Right.
Because if I click on it, they get paid. But I'm not going to click on it unless it's something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think people have this idea that like people are dumb or racist or crazy, or on both sides. Like on both sides, everybody's like, oh, you guys are misinformed and stupid and insane. And really, we're all not getting we're not getting the same information.
Right.
And I don't know. It's there's definitely a solution. The solution is you have to demonetize. You have to demonetize social media somehow. The government has to come in and go, look, you can't sell ads on any of these platforms. And once that happens, I think that'll take a lot of the clickbait out of it. I don't know. The constant did you see that movie Bombshell about the Fox? Yeah, there was a great line that Kate McKinnon had on there when she was telling that when the younger girl had gotten yelled at by Bill O'Reilly for coming up with the story, and she was like, in order to get a story through to him, it has to either scare your grandmother or upset your grandfather or piss off your grandfather. And I feel like that's what everybody's doing, right down to the fact that like when you watch Fox or CNN or any of those things, like all the commercials are like pharmaceutical ads for shit that happens to you when you get old. Yeah. Like that's who they're freaking out. Yeah, it's insurance or pharmaceutical ads. And it is I learned that from the new, like Bill Hicks had a great bit about watching CNN in his hotel room. Yeah. And that was, 25, 30 years ago whenever he had that bit, but it still rings true today. Yeah. The one where they're telling AIDS, death, destruction. Then you open the window. It's like just beautiful sunny day with birds whistling. Which is what it is. I mean, I don't care where you are in the world. I mean, there might be places in the world where that's not true, but for the most part, if you're living in America, it's probably okay outside.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast, it's definitely okay outside.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening to this podcast, open up your window. It's fine out there.
Yeah, you're having a fine day. I was going to ask you this about, I've noticed that over the years and with social media, like kind of taking over all this stuff, that, for instance, I'm playing a show and tickets went on sale last Friday, but then 310 sent me this thing like, hey, post this thing about tickets going on sale Friday. So I posted a thing about tickets going on sale Friday, and I got tons of like response and like, oh man, we can't wait. It's so awesome. And then when I posted tickets are on sale, I had like a quarter of the response from people. And I spend a lot of time, Einar and I have actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the connection is between actual music engagement, because it seems like people don't connect. They just can't connect with music like they used to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's too much going on. It's moving too fast. But there are things like Patreon that we always talk about. Well, like that way people are interested in what you're doing. It's not just this huge net you're throwing out where anyone can pretend to be involved but isn't really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. There is this weird thing where you can pre-sell music now, but you can't sell once the music's out there. You can't sell it, but you can pre-sell it because it's almost like heaven. You can pre-sell heaven, but as soon as I go, well, okay, if heaven exists, if Jesus exists, which you say it does, and I like the sound of it. I like the sound of heaven waiting for me when I die. Jesus sounds like a rad motherfucker. Yeah. Like, I like the sound of this guy. I want to hang out with this guy. He sounds cool.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you have to accept Jesus Christ right now as your Lord and Savior and ask for forgiveness. And I'll go, well, here's what I'm going to do, dude. When I die and all of a sudden there's heaven and there's Jesus, I'm going to be like, hey, dude, nice to see you. Please accept my, please forgive me for all the sins that I committed on earth.
Yeah. Let's
hang. And they're like, oh, no, buddy. Hey, do it. No, buddy. You got to do it you got to do it on earth. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have to do shit on earth. If there's a heaven waiting for me, then death is an illusion.
Right.
You're the one that's fucking up.
Yeah.
Not me. Don't tell me. I grew up religious. I know all the rules, bitch. So anyways, I feel like that's the way it is with music. Like, if you've never heard it, you know what it is? It's like, now in the pandemic, you meet somebody, they're in the mask and you just see their eyes and they are the most beautiful person you've ever seen. Like, you're like, I'm in love with this person.
Yeah.
Look at the shine and sparkle in their eyes. And then all of a sudden they have to take a drink and they remove the mask. You're like, whoa, you're not the person I imagined you would be. And it's the same with music. Like, you think, oh, well, maybe this will finally be a good fucking record. Maybe it'll be like that one record I liked that they did 20 years ago. And then, I'll pre-order that shit. And then it comes out and you're like, oh, no, it's not as good as that one from 20 years ago. In fact, it's really shitty. So, it's hard. It's hard for people to, it's believing in the, it's easier to fall in love with an idea than it is an actual thing.
Yeah.
And so now I will say this with Patreon or any sort of sufficient sort of thing, you do get people, and I'm involved. I subscribe to a few different Patreon things,
you do.
But I only subscribe to the things that I really am passionate about and believe in. Like, I want to support this art that I follow on Patreon.
Right.
I might not even check out their music or even be involved. I just want to give them money because I love it so much. And that's what you get on Patreon. You get people who appreciate you so much and you've connected with them in such a profound way that they're like, I've given them something inadvertently. I mean, I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it very selfishly for myself. I'm not doing it with like, oh, I hope somebody gets something out of this.
Right.
I'm doing it to save my life.
Yeah.
If I don't make art, if I don't make music, the feeling I have inside is I'm going to die. And so I'll make it, and then it resonates with them in such a profound way that they're like, man, I want to give you something. You gave me something. I want to give you something.
Right.
And they put their money where their mouth is. And once you get that going, dude, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
That's whatever that is. it's where you're giving and both parties are giving.
Right. And getting. Yeah.
And getting.
Yeah.
Giving and getting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As far as this record, In a Room Full of Blood with a Sleeping Tiger, it's really I heard you talk about it's your best record, but you don't know that because you're saying that all the time. It's fucking great. Like you're such a great songwriter. Did you do this record with Dwight as well? Dwight Baker?
I did. I did. I made it with Dwight. Well, here's the deal. Every time somebody tells me that this is the best record they've ever made, it never is. In fact, it's always real shitty. Anytime somebody, oh, you got to hear this record, dude. I think it's the best one I've made. Yeah. I'll listen to it. I'm like, no, it's not, dude. Right. This record is not good. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know where you came up with that idea. It's not good.
Yeah.
So I do have this thing where I'm like, is it good? But the reason I think it is a pretty good record, first of all, I made a lot of records. I kind of have an idea once I've completed a record if it's any good or not. When I made my first record, Lonely Land, I had an idea that it was a pretty good record. It wasn't the first record I'd made. I'd already made about 6 records with some bands, with Ugly Americans, with Rockhead. So I knew what those records were, and I could compare it and go, well, this is much better than that. I think this is a pretty good record. And it's still 20 years later, I think that record is probably my best overall record. And I've made a couple records since then that are pretty good. I do a thing where I won't record any songs that I've written in the last couple months, because lots of times you write a song and it's fresh and it's new and you really love it. And then you play it and you play it and you play it. And once you've played it a few times, you're just like, this song is not as good as I thought it was.
Right.
That happens all the time. A lot of people write a song in the studio and think it's the best song in the world. And literally a week later, they're like, oh shit, that's on the album? That thing sucks. So I've always been pretty good about vetting songs that go on the record. But even then, sometimes it takes 6 months or a year before you go, oh, maybe it was a fad, or like maybe there were some songs that sounded like that song at the time. And so they seemed better. But you figure out eventually over time kind of what works and what doesn't, and what is a good song and what isn't a good song. And I feel like I just kind of got on a good roll on this record. I wrote a lot of the songs around the same time. It was around the time my daughter, it was between the time she was 2 and 4, when I was really getting to know her. It kind of happened with my son too. When your kid's born, you don't really know who they are because they're just babies.
Yeah.
But then once they start talking, you start understanding who they are. You start understanding their personality, and you get to actually know them. And getting to know my daughter, you just profoundly fall in love with profoundly fell in love with her. Same with my son when he was around the same age. And I wrote Lovely Creatures, which I think was a pretty good album, which turned out pretty good. And I was going through a divorce, and I was getting to know my son. And so there was a lot of things. And with this record, I mean, I'm married now 6 years, so remarried, pretty not new. This is the longest I've ever been in a relationship. It's been about 10 years now that we've been together.
Wow.
But that relationship with my wife, the relationship with my daughter, the relationship with my son, who's now a teenager, the relationship with the world as a 55-year-old man and seeing friends that we both know that have died, that were young, and seeing icons that like Prince and David Bowie and stuff like that who have died, and just that relationship with the world. And I really originally wanted to call the record Getting Older, and everybody said, do not call it Getting Older. But I'm like, that's what it's about. This record's about getting older. And it's about being my age and being in this position that I'm in. And they're like, don't call it that. Call it something else, because that's a horrible title and nobody's going to like it. And I have a song called In a Room Full of Blood with the Sleeping Tiger, which I think is a metaphor for being this age, which is like, I'm in a room, I've seen my friends die.
Yeah.
They've been murdered by life. And I'm in that same room. We're all in that same room. And there's a sleeping tiger. It's going to wake up at some point. It's going to eat me, and it's going to eat everybody in this room. And so that's what the song's about, because that's what life is about.
Yeah.
You're born in that room, and you're going to get at one day.
Yeah, at some point the tiger's going to wake up.
And but you can have these relationships, and part of the wonder and beauty of life is you have these profound relationships, like this profound relationship I have with this little girl, my daughter, Scarlett, that's just heartbreakingly beautiful, that I had with my son, that I still have with my son. But it changes over time. It gets tempered as they get older. All of that, when you experience that stuff, it gives you something to write about. And so I had some stuff to write about, and I just got lucky. And it's something I've always done. I've made myself write continuously for the last 30 years. And I did it during a time where a lot of stuff was happening to me. And so that's reflected on this record. Now, I do think this every time I put out a record, and the idea is, well, that's it. I'm not going to put out any more good records. Because what else is going to happen? I'm not having any more kids. But the thing about life that's so incredible is that shit just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Stuff keeps happening.
Yeah.
And so you have opportunities to experience the world and then write about it.
Did any of what was happening in the past year, how did that leak into your tunes that you've written over the last year, or art that you've made over the last year?
Well, I'll say this. I had a really hard time making any art at all. Once I started having all that anxiety at the beginning of the pandemic, once everything shut down, once I had all this time to think about what was going on, it was really difficult to create. I think you have to be in a really safe, you have to feel safe, you have to feel comfortable, you have to feel like you're not going to, like, nobody's writing a song. Nobody's writing a great song, fucking holding a gun out on the battlefield.
Right.
You have to shut when you're writing. You have to write. You have to put yourself in a very vulnerable position, because you're listening to just weird, wisps of shit. In the atmosphere and in your head, and you're trying to pick it up out of the ether and put it down on paper, and the slightest breeze of anxiety will blow that away, and you're just like, on guard. And you can't be on guard. You have to be playing, you have to be creative, you have to be like a little kid in a field trying to find a butterfly. And then anxiety just made it impossible. So it took a minute, probably a month or two, before I could settle down. But I don't know. It's weird, because now that I'm starting to play some gigs, I'm like, what have I written in the last year that I can actually play live?
Right.
And I've got a few songs. I've got a couple songs, that turned out okay.
Yeah. That's good.
I wrote 50. I've got 3 that are okay. It's better than the dude who wrote 3 and thinks they're all good.
Right.
And they're not.
Right.
They're not good.
No. It took me a while to get writing too, because I felt like a deer in the headlights for the first couple of. I think everyone did.
And once you started, how often do you write? Do you write? How prolific are you?
I go through phases where I can make myself do it. Like I set up an area for me to just sit down and write. That's not in this studio with all the shit around, because that's what ends up happening. A lot of times I lose my ideas because I'll start recording as I'm writing. And then before I know it, I've become so concerned with the kick drum sound or pattern that I forgot what the song was actually about. I don't know if that happens to you. Well, so I like, say like in July, I wrote like 10 songs. And then in August I wrote like 2. But it comes in spurts. Like there are times when I get into the groove. But there's also like, I have to say that when we did that tour together when I was in Indochine, however long ago that was the forced. Is it Neil Young that says like, my songs come to me out of nowhere, but they usually come to me out of nowhere when I'm sitting down working on a song.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure. I did that a lot. Like through all of the 90s, I would wake up and work on a song almost every day. And then doing it with you guys on that thing re-sparked that in me. And then sometimes that comes back and I'll do it a lot. And then other times I feel like I've just got to take shit in before I put it back out. You know what I mean? I absolutely know what you mean.
Yeah. But my lowest number is like maybe 3 or 4, songs a month.
That's my max is 4 a month, but my minimum is 4 a month.
Yeah.
So, it's the max and minimum are the same.
But do you write with other people and stuff?
I have a little bit. I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
I have written some pretty good songs. I wrote a song with Matt the Electrician that's on this record.
Uh-huh.
Now,
what song is that?
Of times, it's called Thor.
I love that song.
But lots of times what happens when I write a song, so the way I wrote that song with him was he came over and I just had him, I was like, play some. Or maybe he sent me some progressions. Anyways, he had a progression, like a nice finger picking progression, which he played me and I recorded, and so I had that progression, and then I wrote the song,
right,
using that progression like as a sample. And then I eventually didn't use his finger picking at all. I changed that completely. But when I was writing the song, I wrote a song with him in mind, like the way he sings and so when I was writing it, I definitely had him in mind and wrote this song. And then I was like, oh, and I love this song. It's one of my favorite songs on the record. It's one of my favorite songs that I've written. And I was so excited. I was like, dude, I wrote this great song with that progression. And I sent it to him and he just seemed like, yeah, okay. He was like, yeah. I was like, dude, dude, this song is better than any song you've ever heard. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what? Am I insane? And dude, that's the other thing too. I'm like, what? And I don't know if it's the pandemic or just getting older or whatever, or just having a limited amount of success, even though I've had a lot of success and I have a wonderful career and I have a wonderful situation where I can write music and I don't have to do anything else. Right. I don't have to do any of the shit that sucks, like interviews. I love doing this sort of thing, like having a conversation on a podcast or something, but I don't have to like travel and go do the morning show or talk to fucking New Music Express about some bullshit. Yeah. All I do is I write songs, I make a little bit of art, and I hang out with my family, and then I occasionally do some shows where people love me and adore me.
Yeah,
it's an amazing life. And at the same, but then I go, well, and I'm like, why am I not more successful? And then I'm like, well, maybe it's because I think Thor is a great song.
Right.
And it's not.
Yeah.
But I think it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
And because that's the way everybody is who makes art. Everybody who makes art thinks that what they're doing is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You have to have that ego where you're like, man, I'm the best at this and I'm so good. And check this out. And my daughter has it. Like she writes stuff and makes things. She's like, look, Daddy, check it out. It's so incredible. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
But is it? That's the thing. That's the thing about art. It's so subjective.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason. I mean, there is. I mean, you have that "Keep the Door Open" song by Bruno Mars and Pac Anderson.
Yeah.
That's fucking as good as anything that's ever been written. So of course that's a hit.
Yeah.
But then you've got everything else.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, is it good?
Yeah.
Like everything Travis Scott's done except for that Goosebumps song. I'm like, is it good?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not stopping him from selling 70,000 tickets at $375 a ticket and having it sell out in 5 minutes.
That's insane.
So insane.
When did you write the song "American Jesus"? That was one of my favorite ones on the record.
Again, probably around that same time, but I wrote that, about my relationship with my wife. Again, that's the longest I've ever been in a relationship with anybody. That's yeah. What's I don't know what to even say about that song other than I don't know. I feel like I got lucky with that song. That's, again, I think there's a bunch of songs on the record where I just got lucky. They just turned out. Because so often they just don't turn out.
Yeah.
You write songs, you start, you want it to be great. You want it to be good, and you just start writing and couldn't get there.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while there'll be something you're just like, man, this is it. This is like a real song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just had some good lines in there. A friend of mine gave me this Walt Whitman poetry book called Leaves of Grass, which awful. I love poetry. I love poetry. I have 1,000 books of poetry on my bookcase. And I can't read that Walt Whitman. That Walt Whitman shit is so boring.
Yeah.
But I read the preface to it, and in the preface they were describing him at the time when he was around as being the American Jesus, like a prophet, sort of, this poetic prophet when he was around. I was like, oh, I like American Jesus. So I ended up using it in the song in the first line, like, I can't be your American Jesus. I can't be this Walt Whitman guy.
Right.
Which is what everybody wants. Everybody wants somebody to be, you want the person that you're with to be amazing and great and wonderful.
Right.
And they're just not. The longer you get to know somebody, the more you realize how flawed they are in a lot of ways. And what you find out is, the thing that I've realized, because the relationship I'm in with my wife is a really complicated and difficult relationship. But if it wasn't complicated and difficult, I would not be in love with her. The things that I find the most frustrating and aggravating about our relationship and about her are the reason that I love her. And if she didn't have those things, because I've dated women who don't have those things.
Right.
And I did not marry them because I didn't have there wasn't that passion. Like,
right.
I grew up in an alcoholic household. There has to be some sort of chaos and craziness in my relationship. Otherwise, I don't think it's love.
Right.
I only equate love with this weird first 5 years of my life. And when I see that in life, in a person, then I'm like, oh, this is love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the problem is I grew up in an alcoholic household, so it's crazy. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for crazy. And I've got it. And it's what I want. It's what I want. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's real hard. And relationships are so hard. And we live in a society where anything that's hard is wrong.
Right.
Getting old is not cool.
Right.
You better stay young, motherfucker. Otherwise, we're going to hate you. We're going to hate your ass if you get old.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, society.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's all lies. All of that shit is lies, dude.
Yeah.
Nothing can make you happy. The only thing that can make you happy is loving. Period.
Yeah.
The more stuff you can love, the more happy you'll be. Things don't do it. Relationships only do it if you love the person. It doesn't matter how much the person loves you. People love me all day long.
Yeah.
Go on Patreon. They'll be like, "Oh, I love Bob Schneider."
Yeah.
Does it matter to me? Does it affect my
No.
well-being?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I mean, I love playing, and I love applause, and I love people telling me that I'm great. But that only lasts. That's like a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
When it's in your mouth. As soon as it leaves your mouth, you're like, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Where's the next Snickers bar?
Yeah. Yeah. Just looking for the next Snickers bar. That's how it happens.
Dude, is that going to be the new Johnny Gotti jam? Looking for the next Snickers bar.
I'm just looking for the next Snickers
So how
bar.
long have you been together with your girlfriend now?
Since we met on the Friday after the Friday of Snowpocalypse week.
So this is a brand new
It's
relationship.
pretty new.
2 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're at the critical 2 month juncture.
Yeah.
Where people they step off at 2 months.
Right.
Are you ready to step off? Are you ready to stay
No,
on?
not at all. Staying on. No, she's
Is she staying on though?
yeah, she's yeah, she is.
You're sure she's staying on?
That's what she said to me. So I think that she's
Like
in a
recently?
stay on situation. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. There's we're very compatible, and there's enough friction there to keep it interesting. You know what I mean?
And what's the age difference between you guys?
7 years. She's 7 years younger than me. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
she
like a
can-
couple of those girls I went out with earlier that were like half my age.
My wife's 23 years younger than me.
That's not bad.
22 right now, but no, that's horrible, dude.
It is?
That's too much. Oh, it's terrible. Such a enormous age gap. It's really a very difficult thing to get over. Now, I will say this: 10 years ago, when we got into the relationship, I was a much younger man. Emotionally, I do feel like in the last 10 years, when I met her, I felt like I was emotionally probably in my late teens, and now I feel like I'm maybe in my late 30s.
Right.
Emotionally. So I've grown up a lot since then. But well, good luck, man, with your relationship. That's exciting. 2 months is exciting. It's real though. At 2 months, you kind of know the other person at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You kind of drop your guard a little bit. They drop their guard, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is funny because the first like whatever is like, oh, this is the best, and then there's like that time where you have to deal with something shitty, or
Yeah.
you get into a fight, or it's like you're like, how is this happening? We were so happy, and now it's all terrible. But yeah, it's learning that shit. It's hard, man. It's a hard.
And how long did your last relationship last?
Oh, just months, like 6 months, 5
So
months.
that was a quick one.
Yeah.
And then has it been a series of short relationships?
There's been a series of short relationships. Like I was married for 10 years to Tracy.
Right.
Then I was with Sandy for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, like a year maybe at the most.
Well, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I got hoodwinked by my wife. I didn't think, when I met her, I told her, I was like, look, you're too young. We're never gonna date.
Right.
You want to hang out every once in a while, I'm down.
Yeah.
But then at some point, man, she's so clever. She's so smart and clever that she just hoodwinked. She did a weird mind trick. Yeah, she just tricked me. And then I fell in love with her. And then when I was in love with her, I wasn't really in love with her. I thought I was in love with her. And I really wasn't in love with her truly. And I only know this because of what happened was we got pregnant, and then once we were in the hospital, she had preeclampsia. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a condition where you have high blood pressure, and the only way to get rid of it is to induce pregnancy. It's the number one killer of women. If you watch Downton Abbey, it's what killed Sibby.
Okay.
I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan. But anyways, so we found out she had that about 2 months before the baby was due, and then we were in the hospital for about a week, and they gave her steroids to help the baby, and then eventually her blood pressure got so high they had to induce, and then the baby was born real early. Again, 2 months early. She was like 4 pounds, like nothing, like a little tiny weird little alien baby. And that's when I knew I loved my wife, because I realized, I go, if something happens with this, if something goes terribly wrong with the pregnancy and the baby doesn't survive somehow, I'm going to break up with my wife, because I want her to be happy, and I know she'll be happier with somebody else. Not because I didn't want to be with her, because I loved her, but I just because I wanted her to be happy more than I wanted myself to be happy.
Right.
And that's what, and I was like, I was doing the math, and I was like, okay, when I'm 73, she's going to be 50?
Yeah.
Hanging out with a 73-year-old? Fuck that. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, I look good now, but I'm not going to be looking good when I'm 73, and she's going to be looking great when she's 50. But now we got a kid, and nobody's going to love this kid better than I am. Nobody's going to be a better dad. And we have this relationship, and it's like a tripod. That's the way I think about it. And you take one of those legs away, and it's not going to be good for anybody. Yeah. So luckily everything worked out with Scarlett, and
that must have been really, really awful.
It was terrifying. It wasn't awful. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between saying terrifying's awful and terrifying's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's the thing about life. It's like we assign these values of like good and bad.
Right.
Young, good. Old, bad. Terrifying, bad.
Yeah.
Happy, good. It's all good. Like it's like did you ever read that book Illusions? Richard Bachman?
No, but I know.
I think is it Richard Bachman? No, or is that Stephen King's alter ego?
No, I thought Richard Bachman wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. So he wrote a book called Illusions. It's about this Messiah. And in the book, he says, like, life is like going to a movie. And there's different types of movies that you decide you want to go see. Like sometimes you're in the mood for a rom-com, sometimes you want a suspense, sometimes you want a horror movie, whatever it is.
Right.
And I just love that idea that we're like these eternal beings, and like one of the ways we, enjoy ourselves is by immersing ourselves in this thing called life. Or maybe we're just sleeping and we're having a dream. I don't know. Right. But whatever it is, I like the idea that it's just what it is. It's just it's a dream or a movie, and terrifying. You want movie, what do you want to go see a movie and everything? Like people are riding a bus for 2 hours.
Yeah.
No. You want to bomb on the bus, and if it goes less than 50 miles an hour, everybody dies.
Yeah.
Now, when you're alive and it's the pandemic, you're like, this sucks. You're going, you're like, fuck this. But it's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
And I tell myself it's horrible, but is it horrible or is it like really cool and exciting?
Yeah.
Because it's so scary.
Who knows what that answer is? I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Dude, I want shit to be boring.
You do?
All the time. Oh my God. Yes, dude. I just want everything to be fucking boring as fuck, dude. I'm not even joking. I just want everything to be boring. I don't want anything to be exciting ever again, as long as I live.
No, you guys heard it here first. Bob Schneider's looking for a boring life. Did you in your podcast with Clint, did you call yourself Buchnitty?
I call myself all kinds of shit from the show. Talk about not giving a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
We let it all hang out on that show.
Hey, another question is what kind of melodica is that it has such a great scale? Your melodica's huge.
Well, it's right
like
here.
3 octaves, right?
It is, 3 octaves.
It's insane.
It's a Yamaha.
Oh.
I don't know. I got it. They're all about the same price. They're not super expensive.
No.
But and this one was great when I first got it, and then it just immediately got out of tune down here.
That's why I need to get a new one, because mine is out of tune in the lower areas. Like the G's totally out of tune.
Yeah, but I mean, it happened like immediately, like within 2 weeks, it was out of tune.
Oh, really?
Where the other one, this Hohner Performer, is out of tune, but it's kind of out of tune across the whole scale.
Oh, that's weird.
So it's not too bad, but this one, oh my God, it's so like.
Oh yeah.
But it actually doesn't sound that, dude. It doesn't sound that bad. That's. I can't tell you. I can't hear shit, obviously. Anyways, I love this thing, but it got out of tune really quick. And this sounds more like an accordion. This sounds more like a melodica.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've been playing a lot of melodica lately, and I've been playing a lot of harmonica because I listened to Conor Oberst's. Is it Ruminations record or whatever? Did you ever listen to that record?
No. Is that the first one? The one that
probably getting the name wrong. It came out like two years ago.
Oh, no,
I think.
I didn't hear it. No.
So, do you know what happened with him, Conor Oberst? He's married. He was doing great, and then somebody came out and said that he'd raped her like 10 years ago.
Oh.
And everybody was like, bye, because obviously Conor Oberst, like super woke, super new agey, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's bye. You're a rapist, bye. 6 months later, and then I think his brother OD'd. Like, can you imagine, like, your whole life just completely the rug being pulled out from under you? And I think he's sober, like he's alcoholic, so he got sober, blah, blah, blah. So all this shit happened, and he wrote this record. Dude, it is, talk about a masterpiece. But he just plays he plays harmonica throughout it. So he's either playing, most of it he's playing piano and singing, and then also playing harmonica with like a holder, and then a couple he's playing guitar with harmonica. And the thing I realized about the harmonica is when you play harmonica on a song, it tricks the listener into thinking like it's more important, because you think of like Bob Dylan or folk music having harmonicas, and that's like real shit, and they're talking about real things, and it just lends this gravitas to songs. So I just started doing it, and now I've written a bunch of songs where I play harmonica. I mean, when I say a bunch, I mean maybe like 7 or 8.
Yeah, I saw you do it on. You even played solos. It's funny because you did, whenever the chord changed, you pulled out the other one that goes along with it.
No, I think what I did was I pulled out the wrong harmonica, and then when I realized I was blowing the wrong harmonica, I pulled the other one out.
I've had harmonicas, and I have one of those things that goes around your neck here somewhere, but
Yeah.
I started driving myself crazy when I was trying to learn it. Like
Well,
I was annoying myself.
Yeah. Well, I for years would try to pick one up. I'm like, man, if these motherfuckers, all these other dudes can play it, why I should be able to play fucking harmonica.
Right.
I still can't. But what I ended up doing was I started playing it. I had this song called 40 Dogs, and I learned there's like a little melodic hook, and I learned how to play the melodic hook on a harmonica. And just doing that little thing got me less afraid of the harmonica. And then really what it was listening to that Conor Oberst, and I was like, oh, you just use it as like a pad.
Right.
And so that's what I've been doing. I've just been like doing the Bob Dylan thing where he's mainly just using it like you would somebody playing an
accordion.
An accordion. Yeah. So, but I'm not good at it. But you know, if you got the right key, you can't hit a wrong note.
No, that's right. That's the best part of the harmonica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one in for every key, which is nice.
Have you gotten the vest yet?
No. But all I got to do is gain another 20 pounds, and you'll see me wearing a harmonica vest. If I crack 300 pounds, I'll be wearing a harmonica vest to try to make it look like that's what it is and not my fat body. So we'll see.
I'm gonna start wearing Spanx.
Dude, that's the other thing. So when you're not playing live, and I'm just doing these live streams, so I've got the lighting just perfect.
Yeah.
I've got camera angle just perfect, so I look incredible. I just played the show at Nutty Brown, and my manager was taking some video footage of me from. I think he dug a hole in the ground and went from the ground up my ass from behind, and took this video, dude. That I'm telling you, I was like, first of all, I was like, oh, that's this other friend of mine, this guy who I've always just thought of as this overweight guy. And then I was like, oh no, that's me looking like like Santa Claus. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm just speechless about it. I'm like, well, okay, well, I can't. That's what I look like?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. I've got to, there's one thing to be vain, but this was like looking at, I don't know, it was like something on an Alien. It was not good.
That happened to me in 2019. Somebody posted something. Someone posted something when I woke up in the morning. I saw it, right, and I was like, you're fucking kidding me. I went like threw all the shit out in my kitchen. I didn't have any sugar for like 3 months. I was walking 7 miles a day.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing starting today.
Yeah, I need to do it starting today too.
No, dude, you look great. What are you talking about?
You say that now because you're just looking at me from here up. I got tits.
You don't.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. I'll send you a naked picture of myself. I'll text it to you when I get the courage up. Here, buddy.
I do not want a picture of you naked. Oh my God.
Sure?
Dude, what was I watching? I was watching. Oh, do you watch a lot of TV? I watch as much TV as I possibly can.
I've had I had a lot of TV during the pandemic. I haven't been watching as much the last few months.
I just watched all of Formula One Drive to Survive, the third season. Have you watched that?
No.
Oh, dude, that third season is it's so incredible, and that is the most boring sport, period.
Yeah.
In the world. I watched the first season, which was great, of this documentary about it, and then I tried to watch the actual events, and it's like no point in watching the actual events. It's the worst sport in the world. But the series is incredible. Anyways, I watched the third thing, and in the third thing, one of the drivers is from like Sweden or something, and they're interviewing him, and he's naked with in the sauna with his other buddy, and they're both naked. I'm like, where? Put a towel on.
Yeah.
They're Swedish, I guess, so they don't.
Europeans, man, they don't care.
Do you ever do that when you're in the sauna and you're? When I'm in the YMCA and I've got to change, if you're gonna see my penis, you'll see it for about at the most half of a second.
Yeah, me too.
Because the towel's down and the fucking underwear are up.
Yeah, I had a membership to 24-hour fitness or whatever like 10 years ago, and I canceled my thing after a month because 2 dudes came into the sauna just naked, no towel, no nothing, and like there was everywhere to sit, and they just sat by me, and I was just going crazy. Like,
dude, I used to go to this YMCA to play racquetball.
Yeah.
And there was not a single time, not one time, where I didn't walk into the fucking locker room and there was an 80-year-old guy, always a different one, not the same guy, standing there stock still. Like he had just been walking and then froze.
Yeah.
Completely naked.
Yeah.
Completely naked.
Yeah.
Just standing there. And now every time I'm like, just looking at this guy like, what kind of fucking maniac are you, dude? What are you doing? And they're not doing anything. And when I was at Gold's Gym, there'd always be some guy that was like, that would shave in the locker room naked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put a towel on.
Yeah. Yeah. That shit drives me crazy.
And why are you shaving at a Gold's Gym? Shave at home.
Yeah. Yeah,
What is wrong with people, dude?
I don't know, man. There's a lot wrong with that.
I grew up in Europe. My parents are naked all the time. They go to naked beaches.
And you?
So, no, I'm the opposite. I'm like David Cross on Arrested Development, dude. I don't. My wife is. I don't even know if my wife's ever seen me naked. with she said we've been naked together. The lights are never on. If I'm naked, the curtains are closed, dude. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, there's maybe early on there was some times, like during the dating times, but not in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, there's no way she's seen me naked in full sunlight.
I do notice that as I've gotten older, after sex, I don't lay around naked. I get up and immediately put something on so that no one has to see it anymore. Everything
Dude, I'm wearing a shirt. I mean, Jesus Christ. I've not had sex with my wife without a shirt probably in 5 years.
That's insane.
It's the way it is.
I remember
a lot of body shame.
I remember when I can't remember what you looked like shirtless before, but I do remember a post getting sober trip on one of those Danny Crook's boat rides in the 90s. Do you remember going on one of those?
Not really.
But you were looking very cut. It seemed like you were going to the gym a lot. Like
I was.
You had a whole thing going on.
Exactly 21 years ago, I got really lean and cut, and I did that body for life. And for about 6 months, I was just like looking really amazing. And then I just stopped doing it, and then it was just a slow glide to mellow freak.
Yeah.
And it's never gotten better.
Yeah, and it's tougher when you get older to get that.
Shape. Well, your body's not the same. Your metabolism's not the same. It just doesn't work the way it does. It just you're just. I mean, if I start losing weight, I'm not just hungry. I'm hungry all the time once I start losing weight.
Right.
And it lasts. It lasts for months or years after I've gotten off the diet. it sets up some weird thing in your head. Once you start losing any kind of weight, your body's like, oh, you're dying, you're starving, you got to eat. That's why everybody, if you go on diets, everybody eventually gains it back unless you completely change your whole lifestyle and way of eating.
That's what I did for a couple months back in 2019. I just was like, there's not buy a box of, don't buy a thing of cookies and have one every couple of days. That's not going to happen.
Right. Well, yeah, and I get it. But unfortunately, I have a wife who eats nothing but bread.
Oh.
And I have a daughter who eats a bunch of bullshit as well. So it's there.
It's there. It's calling your name.
And I'm fine. I can make it I can make it all day, all afternoon, early evening.
Yeah.
And then at 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to have one pretzel ball.
Right.
And then I just have one pretzel ball, and it's literally the same as having a drink of alcohol back when I was drinking. If I had one beer, I'm not stopping until I pass out.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that there's so few people now that know me from back in my drinking days, and you are one of them.
Yeah.
But there are very few people that knew me back in those.
What does that make you feel like? Because you're like smiling like that mischievous Bob Schneider smile.
I'm just so happy. I'm so happy my son's never seen it. I'm so happy both my wives have never seen me in that state. I was a mess.
Yeah.
I was not. I was doing what I had to do. I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Ein Mal ist mal, as Nietzsche would say.
I'm glad that you got it together. I have a friend that just passed. Did you know Matt Harris, the bass player guy? When I played with Ian Moore on a tour that I did with him, this guy Matt was my roommate. He was in this band Oranger and this other band, the Posies, and he just passed away a couple months ago, and it was from just drinking so much for so long. That really is one of the things that happens.
I'm shocked that old Adam Temple's still around. I mean,
me too.
Shocking that guy's still alive.
Yeah.
Charles Reeser, my old guitar.
We lost him. Yeah.
That was just straight up alcoholism. His liver gave out. He's the only guy that I know that's died from actual alcoholism. I'm shocked John D. Graham's still fucking breathing air.
Yeah.
That guy, when he goes off the rails, he's heroin crack combo.
Yeah, that's insane.
By the way, if I ever go off the rails, know for a fact that I'll be smoking some crack and heroin.
I thought you're gonna be back.
It ain't gonna be a 6-pack of beer.
No, you're going all the way.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'm like, give me the crack. Give me the heroin. Give me the fentanyl. Give me the heroin with the fentanyl in it. Fuck that.
Fuck that. All right, dude, I actually have another one of these in 5 minutes. Dude, it has been so great talking to you. I was a little scared because when you called yesterday, you were so curt and fast.
Was I?
Yeah, like I answered the phone. I'm like, hey, man. You're like, hey, so we doing this in person tomorrow? You want to do this?
Sorry.
I was telling my girlfriend that this morning. I was like, he's texting me at 5:30 in the morning. Like yesterday, it was like he didn't even want to talk to me or something.
Oh my God. No, I love talking to you. You're so easy to talk with, and
thank you. So are you.
And you're really great at doing this. Congratulations on everything, and good luck with the new relationship. I hope that works out.
Thanks, man. I'll talk about the record in the intro and the outro, but I'll put this out on Friday. You got shows this weekend. Good luck with all of them. And
thanks.
It really is good. I care about you, and I have tremendous affection for you. I really do.
I feel the same for you.
Bring a lot of joy to my life, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question: Do
Yeah.
you want me to send you? I recorded all this audio. Do you want me to send you the audio, or are you just going to use the?
It's really good on here. Yeah.
Okay.
You sound really good.
Right.
I've got you running through compressors and everything.
Okay, sounds perfect.
Well, thank you, man. Take care.
All right, thank you. All right.
Bye.
Oh, I love this life and everything in it. Oh, I love this love and I just won't give in. I love this life.
That was Bob Schneider, everyone. His new album, In a Room Full of Blood with a Sleeping Tiger, available August 27th. But today, his single, I Love This Life, is out. Go to streaming services and find it. And also check your local listings. He's on Rachel Ray today playing that song. All right? Check out his Patreon. You can go see his live streams, Bob Schneider's Song Club. Check out his podcast, The Song Club, and his podcast, I'm Okay, You're Okay, I'm Not Okay, You're Not Okay, with the great Clint Wells. Great talking to Bob, man. He's actually out playing some shows. You can see him May 14th at the Kessler Theater, May 15th at the Cherokee Creek Music Fest, June 26th at the Heights Theater. Go to bobschneider.com for all of your Bob Schneider needs. Thank you, Bob, for joining me and having that great conversation. Thank you to anyone who actually listened to the whole thing. Maybe you listened to it in a couple of parts. Sometimes I do that with long ones. Hey, gang, don't forget when you're out there checking out bobschneider.com, you can find this podcast wherever it is you stream or download podcasts, be it Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, anywhere. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday, all right? Let's hear the rest of this song, I Love This Life, by Bob Schneider. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
And sometimes when the world gets too hard to bear, I might say that I really don't care. I might try and act cool to keep from falling apart. Try to build a wall around my heart, but I must confess, I don't want to be that way. All I want to do is just run through the dance, smile at everybody I see. Smile at everybody, have them smile back at me. I love this life and everything in it. Oh, I love this love and I just won't give in. I love this life, everything in it. Feeling love and I just won't give it to you. But if the robots come and take over with the wicked way, I reminisce where the old folks